So it's news update time once again for Marvel's Avengers. They will be talking about the upcoming patch and the potential size of that patch, which is very much needed because as much as I'm enjoying the game, there is a huge amount of bugs in it, and quite a few of the bugs really are game breaking as well. So this patch is very much needed, and I think for a lot of people it could be one that's going to really inform their decision as to whether or not they continue to play the game. So really important. But we're going to talk about that patch. We're also going to talk about the numbers for the game on Steam, which aren't looking good at all at the moment, and then some other issues I feel that need to be addressed as soon as possible as well. But let's jump in and let's look at the details we have in this upcoming patch first. So the patch then that we have been told will have hundreds of bug fixes and also quality of life changes is due really pretty soon. It was 10 days ago they actually said it would be 7 to 10 days for this patch, and most recently on Reddit we had this here saying that the patch will be with us by the end of the week. So we're looking at either tomorrow or the day after for that. They're also talking about the fact they are working on a blog for clarification, something which is very much needed because at the moment there's really no clear routes that you should be running for particular gear. On some heroes you can run elite content and get guaranteed legendaries, on other heroes it's not happening. So is that hero bugged, or is the hero that's giving you the guaranteed loot actually bugged, and where are we getting our exotics from? I've got no idea how many hours I've put into the game, but I still don't have an exotic. I'm personally not that bothered because they look really pretty bad, the vast majority of them, and I'll talk about that later on in the video. But it's just the fact that we should know how to farm some of the best gear in the game. There should be an actual route towards that. That's where your end game comes in, but that's when the patch is coming. It will be by the end of the week. So a moment ago we touched on the fact it will be a pretty big patch, this one, but we had this message again coming from Reddit. So someone was just asking about the patch notes, and we have a developer, I think it's the community manager actually, that's saying they're on page 7 of the patch notes. So hopefully it's pretty big pages, because if it was 7 small pages it wouldn't be that good. And again, I've already mentioned the fact that the game is in need of a lot of attention at the moment. It really is. The comparisons towards Anthem keep coming up, and yes, it really does bore me when I see them because it does get a bit old after a point in time, but there are definitely some comparisons that can be made between the two games, and that's not a good thing at all there. Just before we move into discussing the Steam numbers, then we've got a bit more patch information here. So this is in regards to the weekly challenges that are not resetting correctly at the moment. You've also got the faction missions that aren't resetting either, and regardless how many times the faction person says to me, seriously, you're the best, I don't care, I just want to get the faction missions from them. It's been going on for too long, and your end game currency is actually tied behind this, and it's been bugged from round about the second day of playing for me, which is really pretty poor. But to read this out, this is some good news here. So based on your feedback, we are moving to a single global content refresh and challenge reset time and day. So it looks like the problem is came from the fact that the reset time was split over various different time zones, and that really was messing with it. So starting with the upcoming patch is version 1.3.0. that's really the big one we're expecting. It says anticipated by the end of the week, and I would say it really needs to get here this week, or there's going to be a lot of frustrated people probably just quitting. But anticipated by the end of the week, the challenges will reset every Thursday at 10 AM Pacific time, so it's good to have a set time for that. And for this week you can keep any challenge points earned now, and as of the patch, and it mentions as a token of appreciation they'll provide 22 challenge points, which is essentially completing both of your weeklies for an entire week there. That will be for all heroes who have logged in prior to the refresh to account for the shortened challenge periods, and these points will be available to claim after the patch drops until the 24th. So the fact you can claim them until the 24th says the patch is definitely coming then, but from what they've said, hopefully the patch will be coming before the end of the week, and we're going to be getting a lot of patch notes which I will look to discuss as well. But that's all the patch information we have. Let's have a look at these Steam numbers now. So there's a very useful website called Steam Charts then, and it allows you to actually track the hours played and the peak number of people that are actually concurrently playing a game as well. So I brought up the Marvel's Avengers one first, but then what I'll do in a moment is I'll actually show you the top 15 on the Steam charts, then I'll show you where Marvel's Avengers is sitting as well. It's close to falling out the top 100, which is not good at all. But if we look at the numbers here, so an hour ago you had 5,000 people playing. As of course, at the moment it's the middle of the night for the majority of the US, that's why it is on the lower side. If you look at the average 24-hour peak though, this is the most amount of players on concurrently in the last 24 hours. So again, this really takes away any time differences because it is a 24-hour period. It's just under 8,700, which is really pretty low. When the game launched, it launched pretty low as well, with only 28,000 there. But let's actually look at the top 15 just so you can get an idea of how the better performing games are doing. So this is your top 15 here, and there really is some pretty crazy numbers here, but if you look at two that I would say are relevant because they're the same style of game, it is Warframe and Destiny 2. So if you look at the current players for those two games, you've got 51,000 for Warframe and then you've got 44,000 for Destiny 2. If you look at the highest number of peak players as well, Warframe's at a whopping 122,000 and Destiny's just shy of 100,000, that's at 97. So just to remind you once again, these are all taken at the same time. So at the moment you were looking at Marvel's Avengers around about 5,000 concurrent players, and you were looking at the maximum amount of peak players being 28,000 as well. But let's see where it actually falls in the chart here. So we can see it's currently sitting at 90th place here. So the current players on at the moment, and again this is all in comparison to other games as much as it is the middle of the night for the US. All the other games have been affected by that as well, but it's 4,570 players, which really isn't a lot at all. And once again the peak players is at 28,000 there now. If you look at some of the games that are actually above it, we have Skyrim here. Nothing against Skyrim, absolute amazing game, one of my most favourite games of all time. But the fact you've got a 10-year-old game, I think it is close to that, sitting above it, that's really pretty odd. And then you've got Fallout 76, which, as far as I'm aware, was an absolute disaster on launch. I don't know if they've pulled it back much, maybe they have, hence why the numbers have risen. But you've got Fallout 76 above Marvel's Avengers in regards to the number of concurrent players that are playing it right now. Definitely not good. Now, what has actually caused this? At the moment then, as far as I'm aware, there are pretty big problems on PC in regards to matchmaking, so that could be putting a lot of players off, and it's something that hopefully the upcoming patch will fix, because in the interest of all players, regardless of your platform you're on, you want the game to do well on all platforms. The more money that comes in, then the brighter future the game has and the more content can actually be created for it. So that is one of the issues. Something that I think I might actually do another separate video on is there's quite a few issues I've come up with as well that I think are really pretty big. You've got the fact loot in the game is really disappointing. At no point in the countless hours that I put into the game I've been excited when a piece of loot has dropped, and in most instances I've been disappointed when I've grinded for hours to get a particular artifact and then I get it and I look at it and I go, what the heck? I just spent all that time actually grinding for that. Also slightly concerned about the marketplace in the game. The prices are way over the top at the moment, and the actual costumes that are in it they're just not that enticing at all. You've got literally 80 years of history for Marvel in costumes, and it looks like the vast majority have actually been created by Crystal Dynamics. That's something that has to be addressed. And then also on top of that as well, we've got our first post-launch hero. Nothing against Kate Bishop, but with the game in the current state it is, the numbers on Steam, we really need a big name. We need someone like Black Panther or Doctor Strange or Scarlet Witch coming in to really get people hyped about the game. But this video, it's actually turned out a little bit of a negative one. I didn't mean it that way, but these are definitely the issues that have been on my mind, and I think they're all tied in with this patch, because the patch, fingers crossed, can address a lot of these issues, and I think it really does have to, or we could be in a pretty difficult situation here. But let me know in the comments below, am I being a negative Nancy, or is there some actual validity behind the concerns I have? But let me know in the comments below, and thanks for tuning in, stay safe, and I'll see you all again soon.